Hi everyone, welcome and thanks for joining our second episode of Malaysian Olympism in Action Community series today. We have in our privilege and honor of Miss Tanya, a certified dietitian and a certified specialist in sports dietetics with more than 3 years with the national elite athletes. She too is a Malaysian representative to the International Olympic Academy, a former competitive swimmer, and has been dedicating herself to the development of athletes and well-being of the nation. She was with Team Malaysia to Singapore SEA Games in 2015 as sports nutritionist and was the lead dietitian to the Rio Olympics 2016. Currently, Anya has just finished as a master for Masters of Sports Science in with the University of Taipei, Taiwan. Let's welcome Miss Tanya and give her cyber claps.
Hello.
Hi Tanya, how are you?
I'm
So,
good. I'm good.
so how is COVID-19 in Taipei?
I think in Taiwan we are. I think the country they are really managing it quite well. Um, you know, Actually, since March 1st, all the universities, everything is the same as it was March 1st. So I think so far we're managing it quite well. We haven't had any cases for many days now, I believe, and soon we will, go back to go. I mean, life will resume back to normal. We only need to have a mask on for now. Yeah,
Ah,
and I think Malaysia is doing pretty well as well.
yes, true.
Yes.
For the first 2 days before during the MCO, we have zero local, I'll say,
Transmission.
transmission, and now we
That's
just
great.
have one.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
before
that's
we,
a good improvement.
yeah, all of us are being very disciplined in not how say before this. Those days we don't hardly see anyone lining up or queuing up for anything. Nowadays we can see a long queue just to go into a supermarket, just even
Mhm.
to go and buy anything. Even going up a taxi or bus also, we're still lining up and queuing up. Oh, this is good.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, that's great.
so by the way, since everybody knows a nutritionist, but no
Mhm.
many people actually knows what is a dietitian. Could you tell us any how say differences or similarities between the two?
Yes, sure. Actually, we get a lot of questions on that. So just very simply, a nutritionist and the dietitian have passion, in terms of giving advices for nutrition. However, for a dietitian, they have more skills, knowledge, and also experience in terms of medical nutrition therapy. So, dietitian usually works in a hospital where they provide dietary recommendations and consultation and management uh, to individuals or patients who have some diseases when they're in a hospital. Yes.
So to get the best of how say nutritionist or nutrition advisors, it will be the best is to meet up with a dietitian first before you just proceed to go to see a nutritionist. Or how is it?
I think for either one is all right. Just to get a general advice, on food, on healthy eating. I think both are great people to approach. A nutritionist are as well versed in nutrition as a dietitian. So I think if you know a nutritionist or a dietitian, both are great resources. Yeah, so you can approach any one of them.
As I think so, you know very well that I actually met up with you in ISN, and you were the one who actually gave me advices to go on a diet because I was putting on weight, major weight. I think so. My body fat at that time was actually 27%. So you did give me sound advice, and I'm quite glad that I am able to meet up with you during that time while you are still in ISN then. Okay, and I think so. Another problem that we are facing in Malaysia, besides we are food haven. Everybody knows Malaysia. Anyone who comes, especially from Asia, they come to Malaysia, makan. The best food.
Yeah,
Everywhere you
very
can
good
see
food.
Indian, yes, Indian, Malay, Chinese, even the European spreads, American, whatever you can see. Even now the present African. I I think we have a slight problem, or Malaysia has become the champion in the obesity range, and we have started quite number of them have. Today I was actually commenting to one of the parent, children taking sweets or even sugary food, coffee, even in a very early age. What will your advice be to your parents, or for them to actually start their children from taking sweets and all those things?
In my opinion, I believe the first thing to do is actually the awareness. A lot of people are aware also, but many times are ignorant. But at the beginning itself, we need to have the awareness. The Ministry of Health, they have dietary guidelines on what we should eat, how much we should eat, and just a fun fact actually. Our If you do not know yet, so every day, the dietary recommendation for fruits and vegetables is 5 servings a day. And last year, the survey that's done by the Ministry of Health, do you want to guess how many the percentage? What's the percentage of Malaysians who don't actually achieve that amount?
Yeah.
It's surprisingly high. 95% of Malaysians, they do not meet the dietary guideline, the recommendation for fruits and vegetables. And it's just 5 servings a day. If you have fruits at every meal and vegetables at each meal, you already achieve it. But 95% of Malaysians don't achieve that. So I think the awareness is one thing of your own dietary intake, whether or not you have achieved that. The other one would be from young, what you place at home, what you have at home, and what you feed your children is very important. So if kids, when they are young, they're exposed to everything is sugary, everything is high fat, kids, they look up to parents as role models. So when they see that their parents are having all of this, to them it's a normal thing. So when you growing up, eating, I guess, fried chicken every day was a normal thing, and they don't see any wrong with that, So when they are young, it's important to cultivate a good eating habit from when they're young. When they're young, if you give them fruit and vegetables, if you expose them to it, they are more likely to accept this as normal food, and more likely for them to carry on this behavior, this good eating behavior, throughout their teenage life and throughout the adulthood. Yeah. So I think mainly also is the awareness and how much you prioritize that, and for your children.
So it's nowadays we can see the ulam or the Malay dish on vegetables or side dish. It's the last anybody can touch. Previously, it would be the first to finish. Now it will be the last to finish. So I think our daily dietary have also have changed in modernity, and we have taken more rice, more meat, and we have have forgotten how to even eat vegetables. So in life, maybe perhaps later in life also, we quite a number of adults also is developing diabetic, more
This
serious health problem and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, now we have an easier concept to follow, which is suku separuh, you know. So half your plate should be vegetables, fruits or vegetables, and then you have a quarter of carbohydrates, and then you have another quarter which is the lean protein that comes from it could be meat or vegetable source of protein. So I think this is a really good way to start in a family, you know, just to expose, you know, your children and actually yourself, you know, if you are, you know, usually not following that, you can always start with increasing your amount of vegetables in your daily meal.
Okay. Yeah, we have a question here from Daphne. How can I eat happily without regrets and still being slim?
You know, Malaysia is, you know, it's a gourmet paradise. You know, food is so good. But like I said earlier, you know, the first thing is to be aware of your dietary status, or even be aware of your health status. Because many of us are not aware. We don't know that. For example, many of the Malaysians are not aware that they have hypertension, or many of the Malaysians are not aware of the cholesterol. You know, so first thing is to be aware of your own health status. You know, get your annual checkup. That is very important. That's how you really know your own health status. Don't be afraid. You know, the doctors are not going to scold you or anything. But in fact, you know, it's important to know yourself. So then after that, you know, of course, you know, then, you know, when you're more aware of that, then you can be, you know, then you won't really regret, you know, being eating all this food, or, you know, enjoying all this delicious food that, you know, that Malaysia, yeah, delicacy, yeah. And actually we have this model, it's by Alan Setter, it's called the eating competence. So it's pretty much the two easy concepts. So first is permission, you know, giving yourself permission to eat and enjoy the food that is in front of you, you know, so that you don't feel regret, you know, eating all of these. But the other one behind it is the discipline. Have the discipline to have a regular meal, a reliable meal that can nourish your body. And of course, you know, a one that is rewarding, and, you know, always pay attention to how much you're eating, you know, don't overeat. So first thing, the permission, giving yourself permission to eat, you know, and then have the discipline to stop before you're actually too full. And this comes with experience, you know, over time.
Yes, I'm also now at the moment, I'm preparing myself for next year's competition, bodybuilding competition.
Wow.
So I'm starting very early. I start going on a diet. Now, of course, when we are on diet, we do eat clean and all those things. From a previous day of 3 meals, now I'm eating about five meals a day. So yes, indeed, discipline is one thing. So I have to start as early as 7:30, then 10, 12 o'clock is lunch, 3 is evening tea, 6 is dinner. So I have finished my dinner. So quite a lot of people, I think so presently, a lot of us are taking dinner at 9 o'clock, which is actually, if we are following the correct nutritional or diet
Advice.
Advice, 9 o'clock is supposed to be your supper and not your dinner. So quite number of my friends, I do know that they are also taking their dinner quite late, and it's not so one serving, but they are taking a lot of serving, and they have problems with that. So I think that we have to learn to be disciplined, as you said, to come back to having good meals and enjoy ourselves. But we must know when to actually put a stop for overeating and all such. So, so I think what else would you advise us as adults how to actually eat properly?
So like for example, earlier you mentioned, I wanted to say that if you plan to have a diet, to change your diet, I hope that you're doing progressively and not change your diet, 360 degrees, because if you change it all of a sudden, your body might not be able to adapt to it. And, your whatever plan or your goals that you aim to have, probably would not be sustainable. So if you plan to change your diet, or you plan to eat healthily, I mean, as I mentioned, the first step is to make sure that you are eating what you're supposed to have, whether you're achieving enough of the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, through fruits and vegetables and whole grain, dairy, or if you're lactose intolerant, maybe the soy milk. Just make sure that you have all that you have, because every time you eat is an opportunity to nourish yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So here we have another question for Tania by Nicholas. What is your opinion about the nutrition readiness of the Malaysian athletes? Are we up to speed with the rest of the world? What can we improve on?
Oh, nutrition readiness. I think I need to clarify that a little bit. But if you're talking about how is our Malaysian, the diet of our Malaysian athletes, yeah. So I think Malaysia, for our National Sport Institute, we have very committed and very good dietitians and or nutritionists who do their best, in helping the athletes, with their dietary behavior if they need to, or modification if need to, even meal planning, weight management. But like I mentioned earlier, dietary behaviors, all are cultivated from when they're young. So I would really recommend that, if athletes are, if your child, if this is how you brought up your child, if you want your child to have good eating habits in the future, start now, start when they are young, because many of the athletes that I've seen, they don't really have a good dietary, I would say, choices, because they were brought up, to eat nasi lemak, to eat nasi goreng every day, and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's okay to have that, but, not all the time, because these are really high fat food. And for athletes, especially, high fat diet, slows down the process of absorption and digestion, which your body needs, to refuel and recover. So, I mean, that's for the athletes part. In terms of whether or not we are in par with the world, I think we are doing pretty well. We are progressing. Of course, there are certain athletes who are more disciplined than others. There are more athletes who know what they really want, who know that nutrition is really important, and they're more committed to changing that and really put a lot of effort into it. So yeah, I think we are catching up. Yes, good question there.
Yeah, good question from Nicholas Chan.
Yeah, thanks, Nicholas.
So I think everyone is also wanting to know what actually makes you to pick up to be a dietitian. So what is your what is your wow factor?
What is the
wow factor? Because I pick up from the the 2017 games that we had SEA Games. It's a wow factor. So
yeah. I was there.
So what is your wow factor that put you to be a dietitian in the first place?
Okay, now we are going into the sejarah of my life. So as you know, I was an athlete, from when I was 10 to I was 20, and you know, being able to perform is something that I prioritize. In addition to that, health is something that is also important. Actually, I didn't really know that when growing up. Nobody really how to say emphasize, say it out loud, that health, blah blah blah. But now that when I recall back, I realized that actually my family emphasized a lot on health. They prioritize health a lot. Making sure that we go through annual medical checkup just to make sure nothing's wrong with us. In our blood profile. We're not anemic. We don't have high cholesterol or diabetes. I mean, at a young age, teenager, you never really like care much about this stuff. I guess my parents were, but they never really care much. As a teenager, like, oh, okay, who cares going for medical checkup, right? But now when I think about it, it's so important because you never know at which time point of your life, you might have, I guess, hypertension or even diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is diagnosed, sometimes even at the teenage age, and you never know that. Although it's, genetic, there's a genetic factor to it. So for me, health was something that revolved around my life. So actually, I have after SPM, I wanted to do these three top majors that I chose was one is nutrition, the other one is sports science, and psychology. So all three of these, if you think about it, actually completes the definition of health. Okay, by WHO, health is is defined as the complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Okay, and not just about not having all these chronic diseases, but it's all three. And being an athlete, always wanting to achieve the best. Always wanting to go higher. Faster, higher, stronger. Like the motto of the Olympics, CTUs, LTUs, FORTUs. It means faster, higher, stronger. And that is for performance. But if you think about it in the perspective of health, CTUs, being faster. As a person, as a living being, how fast can your body recover and adapt to the environment? That is actually part of the Darwinian theory, the survival of the fittest. How well can you adapt to your environment? If you're poor physically, if you're not in the pink of health, it's very difficult for you to adapt, and then you fall sick. Yeah, that's a side effect of it. And then L2 is higher. How high is your cognitive or your mental function? How can you what is your functional capacity of your brain? And then lastly is FORTUS, which is stronger. How strong is your social engagement? How strong are you with your social relationship? How you are, with your friends. So I guess coming back to why I choose why did I choose this? Also is because I had a JPA scholarship to go to the US to pursue my degree. And out of these three, so out of these three, JPA kind of picked nutrition as my path to be. And I'm glad that after I've done my degree, ISN I was very lucky to be hired by ISN, and I got to work with the athletes, back to where, I feel at home, feel myself, with nutrition, and being in the sports environment and working with so many great athletes. Yeah. So so that's
the wow factor.
How it is. The wow factor.
Yeah, wow factor.
And nutrition plays such a big part in sports performance.
Yeah, now you're going to be playing a big part to the major, to even to Malaysians in general, rather than only just the athletes per se. So, in that retrospective, what else will be the core for those who want to know between the European and the Malaysian diet? per se, because quite a number of Malaysian before the MCO, the Malaysian control movement came about, Malaysians they plan to travel everywhere every country they go. First thing is makan. I like to eat that local delicacy.
Of course.
Into Japan, they will go for sushi. They go for teppanyaki. They go for all the other things, even remi, udon, and all those things. And if they go to the European countries, they will want to try out steaks. They want to
spaghetti,
pasta. So
escargot,
everything.
I don't know.
Escargot, I have not tried it, but I
Greek
heard
salad,
of it.
so delicious.
Yeah, I've taken their hard bread once, so it's very hard, and I have to dip it in the hot chocolate just to make it soft enough for me to even to chew through it. If not, you have to use the knife just to cut it through. So at the end of the day, what are the difference between the Malaysian diet? Well, we have it here spicy and chili, plus the European diet, which is much more rich and rich in a lot of quantities. Does it actually for the general public and also the athletes? Is there any difference? Besides earlier you shared.
So I mean, if you're talking about just European, a lot of them they maintain a Mediterranean diet. So if you want to compare, let's say for example, Asian or Malaysian diet compared to the Western or European diet, I think that our Malaysian diet and especially in Asia, actually, we have more spices. We are more flavorful, strong. The stronger flavor. Our food is so rich in flavor. That's good and bad. The good thing is we are able to indulge in all these, really delicious, our palates, comes in tasting all these so many different kinds of food, and we were groomed, we grew up having all these types of food, and we are able to actually enjoy, and we are open to so many different types of good food, and yes, we have the pleasure of enjoying that. The hindsight of it is uncontrolled. Without self-discipline, you tend to overeat those. And many of the dishes that are flavorful comes with high fat also. Of course, that doesn't mean that European diet or Western diet doesn't. But with, like, for example, the Mediterranean diet, it's mainly revolve around like the olive oil, which are the really good fat, and vegetables and cheese, and all of these. When we do a comparison, actually, mainly it's just the flavor, but Malaysians, when we travel there, we see things in a different way. When we're traveling, especially, we want to try all kinds of food, because food is culture. Food is part of the culture. It gives the identity to, different parts of the world, different people. So when you talk about the European diet and the Malaysian diet, whether or not it can, I guess, give an impact on performance or not, I think it really depends on how you choose your food and what you eat, and what is your goal? What is your goal, for example, for performance, or what is your goal in terms of diet? You want to maintain your health, because basically it's just the composition of food, what you choose, what you choose to eat. Malaysia, we have so much vegetables, so many choices, apart from the ulam, if you don't like fresh type of vegetables or Malay type of salad, Malaysia, we are exposed to so many types of salads, or even kangkong or cooked vegetables, bak choy and everything. We have so many choices. It's just how you want to cook it and how you want to plate it and eat it.
Yeah. My vegetables are all steamed, so it's quite tasty. It retains all its nice natural flavor. So steam broccoli, steam carrots. So it's all you have the two colors, the red and the green. So it's how say it's quite
It's
okay. We
good,
have
and you can season it as well to add some
yeah.
flavor. You know,
Oh, mine
as
having
I mean,
place.
season it as in like some pepper or I don't know, paprika. Or, some herbs and some herbs that are non-calorie contributing. Yeah,
Yes.
which are great.
Yeah. Okay. We have another question here. Tan Cheng Kim from Tan Cheng Kim. Is intermediate fasting and gluten-free diet appropriate for athletes or for an active person?
Thanks for the question. Intermittent fasting, okay, depends on which type of intermittent fasting, because we have so many so many variation now. We have the 18th day, or so many. So I guess the most important thing when it comes to intermittent fasting is whether you are fueling yourself enough for your exercise, for your physical activity, whether whether you are eating at the right timing or not. You don't want to be fasting at the time where you have to do a high intensity exercise. That will not be appropriate. You'll go on low blood sugar, and that impedes your sports performance. So and also, why are you doing the intermittent fasting for? What is the purpose? Is it to induce a higher fat metabolism, or is it just to go with the trend? Everybody intermittent fasting, I also intermittent fasting. That. Yeah, so what is the purpose of you doing the intermittent fasting? In terms of gluten-free diet, this diet started for people with celiac disease, for people who are sensitive to gluten. So I'm not sure if everybody who uses this gluten-free diet actually have celiac disease, because many times they are just wanted to follow the trend, or just to exclude a certain type of food out of their diet. So with gluten-free diet, I would say you are excluding a lot of the important carbohydrates that you need for being for being an active, or a really active person. So if you don't have to be on a gluten-free diet, I wouldn't recommend that. Yeah, because you're cutting out a lot of like the breads and anything with gluten in it, the cereal, some of the oats. You're cutting a lot of good whole grain food in your list.
Okay. I think so. In this time of MCO, we have COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of gyms have been closed for the last 3 months or so, and we have not heard the hype of all ages, protein shakes. So what is your take on this? Is protein shake visible, or is just all hype that everybody is doing it? Even I think quite a number of people who do not exercise, they also been taking isotonic drinks and all those things. So what is your take on, as a dietitian, on protein shakes, 100 plus, Gatorade, on all these isotonic drinks?
So I mean, again, this is a food trend, like a fat diet. Everybody followed, everybody doing this. I also want to follow. I will address this as a supplement as a whole first, and then I'll go into the protein. So supplement by definition is to supplement your diet. Okay, so whatever you don't have enough through your diet, you add the supplement it to supplement your diet, whatever that is not enough. For athletes in particular, the reason why some of them requires the need for supplement is because of their high energy requirement for training. Training twice a day is really demanding, especially if you're in a phase where you have very high intensity and high load. And sometimes whatever you eat from natural food, it's just not enough to compensate for what you have used up or lost. So that is where supplementation comes in, to help them. But even for these athletes, we usually recommend to first, start with the natural food. Whatever you can get from food, get through that. And only if you couldn't, then we would recommend certain kind of supplements. And usually the supplements that we recommend are just very, very simple supplements, such as like the sports drink, Even for protein shakes, we are very careful because nowadays there are so many companies that comes out with all kinds of protein shakes. Protein shakes with added, I don't know, some vitamins, protein shake that add with some ergogenic aid, caffeine, creatine, BCAA, blah 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 blah. They add all these kind of things in there. So for athletes, we are always very careful because they have to fulfill, to make sure that they're not taking something that is banned, banned substances. So for if you're not really exercising, obviously I will never recommend protein shakes. Okay, but if you have a goal, or for example for bodybuilding, you have tried and you really want to bulk up, and you have tried eating so much and it just couldn't, okay, and you want to resort to protein shakes, then okay, but just to make sure that you're not overdoing it.
Yeah.
And for just regular active individuals, if you're just regular, exercise 30 minutes to 1 hour a day, honestly, you don't really need the protein shake, unless you just want to drink it for fun and add more calories to your diet. That's fine, which I don't recommend. But honestly, you don't really need these protein shakes, or even for sports drink. Only if you are doing very high intensity for more than 1 hour under the sun, then yes, I would definitely recommend take some sports drink. In fact, now there's a lot of so-called hypotonic kind of sports drink, which are so-called lower calorie, lower sodium. For individuals who feel that they need to, like for example, for those who are playing badminton for a very long time and they sweat, quite a lot, then I would recommend either the hypo or the isotonic sports drink, But always also have water with you at all times, because you kind of need both, okay? Yeah. Just to feel more refreshed. But definitely, I'm always recommending, always get your nutrients from actual food. There are so much good food. Like you say, so much. So many choices to choose from, especially in Malaysia. So why not? You want to resort to supplements. Only in for example, in hospitals, only people who are sick and unable to get the food to get the nutrients from real food, they'll be given the supplements or even medication. So if you don't need it, why are you taking like the supplements or the medication?
Yeah. Okay, we have a question here from Sharon V. I agree on Tanya's comment on discipline. When I was based in Amsterdam as pro player with Nicole David, we do eat healthy. But that doesn't mean we stop eating nasi lemak, fried chicken, fries, chocolate, etc. We should still enjoy food, but with self-responsibility. So, Tanya, do you think subject about nutrition should be stressed much more as a subject in Malaysian school, KPM?
Why not? I'm not sure about the syllabus now, but from what I know, in international schools, nutrition is one of the taught subjects in schools, and children were being taught about nutrition much more compared to when I was younger. So, if under the KPM, if they were to emphasize more on that, I would, of course, recommend that, because that is something that kids should know. Kids at home should know, and if they were to bring this good habit, good idea, good knowledge back home, this reinforces even more the good behavior for the whole family. Not just the parents or the children, but both. Yeah. So
I do.
good suggestion there.
Yeah, especially I do remember in the 1970s and all early 70s and all, we were taught how to brush our teeth in school.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, then you can see that, what happens if I don't do it. The result is very clear.
And we have what, school milk program back in my days. Yeah, it was great. I mean, it really encourages children to drink milk. Unknowingly, milk was important. When we are young, nobody like you have nutrition class or something, but knowing that it was given to us, we would think it's good, when we are kids. Yeah.
So okay, coming back to one of the biggest problem now we are having, I think so. Body shaming is becoming a big issue all over the world. Especially in Malaysia, since 2019, the government of Malaysia have actually came out with an act and make it a crime in body shaming. Yes, and if we ever do it or post anything to shame a person on Facebook or on the social media, it's actually a punishable crime of fine of 50,000 or a jail sentence or both. So how, in many sense, that I think so, when any child or any person, especially a girl, we take a gender, because boys usually will try to
say macho, is it?
Act macho and brush it off, but not a girl, unfortunately. So how usually when body shaming happens, a girl usually either has either problem, either she is huge or she's skinny. How do you recognize if they have bulimic or anorexia problem in their lives, and how could we as public help them, or even as parents, friends, we help them to overcome this, because we seldom touch this type of subject.
I did not know that we have this act. Personally, I did not know, and I think there was a recent case. So this is only for Malaysians or anyone in Malaysia?
It's actually anyone in Malaysia who actually is cyberbullied in Facebook or social media. It's not in reality. If we come face to face, I will say, "Oh, Tanya, you look."
So anyone in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Even if you're non-Malaysian, you will be fine. Is it?
Even we have proof that you have cyberbullied someone, you'll be fine, because nowadays you can just print screen any comments before you delete it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I mean, body shaming, it's really such a negative thing to do, to body shame someone else. And to correct you, when we are, now we are gender equality, so not just female, but it also happens to male. Although outside they act macho, sometimes inside they are quite sensitive, So I would address this for both male and female, because I think body shaming or eating disorder can happen to both genders.
Yeah.
Maybe female are more at risk at it, because we can be more sensitive, but I think it happens to both gender. So first thing, coming to the root of the problem is the family, the social media and the environment and the exposure, you know, how we are portrayed, you know, as to have this perfect body image, or how family members, you know, if you were to give, I mean this is a sensitive topic, you know, for people who are sensitive to it, you know. If you know, you know, for example, you tell one of your family member or your close friends, you know, oh, you look fat or something, you know, just as a joke, you know, even just as a joke, you know, sometimes that person might feel sensitive to it. Some might shake it off, but some might feel sensitive to it. And unfortunately, you know, for people who are sensitive to it, you know, they don't tend to reach out because they feel, you know, a little bit ashamed, you know, if they have this problem. So first, I would say, you know, try not to be a mean person, or even if you know someone is, you know, maybe putting on a little bit, you know, try not to approach them in that way and give comments about their body, you know, because that's really some people can be sensitive to it. The other, especially for teenagers, you know, who are going through puberty, you know, they are going so many changes in their body, you know. Some is uncontrollable, you know, and especially with the hormones coming in, you know, you never know, you know, they might, you know, have gained, you know, some weight here and there, you know, but it's something that they care about, but sometimes they cannot control. So if you know of someone who are more sensitive to it, you know, really try not to give too much, you know, comments on that. You know, sometimes if you gear it in a different way, you know, instead of thinking about how their body is, you know, instead, you know, focus more on the food or the nutrition or the diet part of it, that might be better, you know, because how the person become like that is through eating, you know, or even exercise, through physical activity, you know. So, you know, for example, if you know that they're not exercising enough, you know, that's something that, you know, as parents or friends, you know, you can always encourage them to be more active, to increase their energy expenditure, you know. About 25% of Malaysians are physically inactive, you know, and the definition is just 10 minutes of moderate to high intensity exercise a day. You know, if you're not even doing 10 minutes a day, you know, what are you doing? You know. Yeah, so that's one. The other one with eating disorder, we have two definitions actually. We have the disordered eating. Usually it starts with that and then goes into a more serious case, which is a eating disorder, which has it's a psychological, psychiatrical problem. It has to do with distortion of the image of yourself. So usually with disordered eating, it starts with that, you know, and some of the signs that you can kind of pay attention to are just if suddenly, you know, your friend or someone, you know, suddenly don't hang out with you for eating, you know, or in a family, you know, if you find that your teenage child suddenly don't want to be at the dinner table, you know, that's one, you know, we call it the social avoidance. You know, when you eat, you know, you try not to be with someone, yeah, or they like to play around with the food, you know, or try to, you know, eat a bit less. That's something that's more obvious, though. That's something you can really tell. Or, you know, they become more self-conscious about their body image. So they're just more self-conscious. That's something that you have to, you know, through observational skills, you know, in the family. Or they weigh themselves so often, you know, or they tend to excessively exercise, you know, over too much, you know, exercise not because of health, but exercise so that, you know, they can lose more weight. And when you know that they are already, you know, very thin, you know, I mean that's for anorexia. In terms of bulimia, it's another spectrum because anorexia is more restricting your food, restricting what you eat, try to exercise more. But bulimia is on the other spectrum. It's more on binge eating. So something that they like and then they eat a lot of it and then regurgitate after. This is more not too difficult to identify, but usually if your child or someone goes to the toilet like soon after they eat, then you can kind of know something is going on. And if you find that as if you notice something like that, so I think the best way to really approach it is not directly, but always ask, how are things, how's how is their diet, in general, how do they feel, just to show that they care as a start. And from that, if your child or someone or your friend, confide in you and open up to you, that is great. That is so good, because many times people with this issue, they don't usually open up. It's very hard for them to open up. So if they open up to you, that's great. But if not, you can have other choices such as number one, seeking for professional help, like a dietitian or someone who is more expert in the nutrition field, to approach them with it. Or you can even give them resources, gear them towards that. If not, if you're just in the just to find out phase, you can always have a good friend if you know of that person, to approach and ask more about it, in a non-judgmental, because I think that's a very sensitive issue. But I would highly recommend, to really look for a professional on that, because when you talk about eating disorder, that is a quite serious issue.
I think so. We have already spoken for over 50 minutes since the start. So we actually can be going on for another half an hour if our directors allow it to go on. Okay. So let us. I think we are going to come to the end of the show. So what will be your advice be? Especially this, do we eat to live, or we live to eat? So which is the better of the two parts?
Of the two parts, okay. It's like a chicken and egg concept. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
So, and actually, the first thing is to be aware of your health status and your own dietary status. Whether you are healthy, whether there's something that you need to do better. And because every time when you eat, it's an opportunity to nourish yourself, to feed yourself with something good for your body, so that you can live better. And if you're able to live better, you live healthy and you live longer, then you are able to have more time, to eat all the good food. So I hope this can my talk today, my sharing session today can help many out there, especially the parents, because I think they are all the role model, and same like mine, they are my role model. Always start from young, because healthy living, is something that is cultivated from your young. Yeah.
Okay, and my roundup of the for the night is enjoy food, but with discipline. Start from young. If not, natural food is the best. It's still the best. Supplement comes if you are indeed in need of the extras that you can't get it from natural food, especially from fish. You can't eat enough of fish. You can't eat enough of chicken. I've been eating chicken breasts throughout the last 6 months. So every week I've been going to the supermarket, and body shaming, we should keep it to ourselves. if you see anyone who is not to our own liking, do not be judgmental on them. They may have been going through a problem, or they are trying to get over it. Be I'll say sensitive, lend a hearing, listening ear to them, and ask them what are they facing, what kind of problem you're facing, so that we can, if there is a need, go and meet up with a dietitian. I think so. Tanya is willing to be of service. You can add her in Facebook and all those things.
Yeah, I'll be willing to help. Yeah, and if you go for a medical checkup, you usually have dietitians there at the health center. So, and I'm sure they are more than happy to give their professional advice and help.
Okay, we're coming to an end of it. So good night. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.